The big question is this: how do we take a seemingly ordinary world and make it beyond extraordinary? In yoga, there is so much more than meets the eye, and it's not just the things we do on our yoga mats that make the biggest difference. That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answer. My name is Austin Bitsis, and welcome to Life as a Secret Yogi. Hey everybody, and welcome to Life as a Secret Yogi. This is your host, Austin Bitsis, and truly telling the stories behind those who have been helped and choose to help others through yoga has really been inspiring over these past couple months. And this commonality I've been seeing so far in the episodes of those who have found this greater purpose we sometimes call our dharma is that our greatest purpose in life is to serve and help others. It's an amazing chain reaction. And the ability to serve and not let your thoughts of anxiety, self-doubt, greed, anger, or whatever they might be affect you so much that you're no longer helpful to those around you. This is why self-care is so important. If you focus on, say, yoga and meditation to bring positive energy, clear thoughts to yourself, you can be of service to those around you. Further, if you focused on patience, kindness, helpfulness, that is what is going to expand in your world, and you're not going to be absorbed by the negative energy around you. You're going to be a magnet for positive energy. Our thoughts are contagious because our thoughts create energy and actions, and our thoughts drive our decisions and therefore our lives. One area that we can bring increased awareness and mindfulness into is our home. To me, our home is often taken for granted. I know I did for so many years, and sometimes I catch myself still doing. However, the difference now is that I have worked on becoming more aware of these negative thoughts and catch myself before I allow my body to. May that be my mouth, maybe my stress hormones. And I know growing up, like many of you, you could relate to being so close to your family in a small house, tensions build. So when these tensions start to build, stop. And ask yourself, what am I thinking about right now? And bringing this awareness will really help you catch your body before your body takes actions on those negative thoughts and replacing them with positive thoughts and positive actions. Though if you're being unkind to your teammates at home, you're really digging yourself a hole because we're all stuck at home right now and you're allowing these thoughts to control you in a negative demeanor. So I call upon you listening right now to reflect on how you treat those around you. It can only benefit you, your teammates, and this world by practicing kindness to those teammates at home. May they be your spouse, your parents, your kids, your siblings, your roommate, your neighbor, your dog, your cat, your fish, your plants, your lizard, whatever living creatures are around you. Those are your teammates. They feel your vibrations you're putting off, and I promise you, they are contagious. Don't believe me? Read one of those books on sciences of the mind, such as Joe Dispenza's book, Becoming Supernatural, or Eddie Stern's book, The One Simple Thing, that both contain many case studies that prove our vibrations can be changed and our thoughts and actions are contagious. So whoever is there, make friends and look out for the people around you during these uncertain times. Take care of yourself and those around you. Be kind to yourself and be kind to others, even those you're interacting with online, because behind the screen is another person. Just like I talk to you right now, I'm a person and you're a person. It is beautiful and incredible how we found each other and are connecting over this platform. I'm sending positive energy to you with pure intention, and I would like to think that my actions are contagious and you are sending the positive energy to another. Be kind, and you will attract kindness, and you're going to feel better, and your thoughts will be pure and easier to calm. I'd like to start sharing some meditations I write on the show. If you guys would all be interested, I can do one on kindness, and I'd like to start adding in more visual, imaginative meditations to inspire our creativity and see the magic in the world around us. Sometimes fun, creative meditations are a great way to start your meditative practice. That's how I got started visualizing myself winning upcoming races or crushing the next day's workout as a competitive distance runner. It's all just another form of meditation by concentrating the mind on a positive action, which will in turn influence the body. So instead of trying so hard not to have a thought, which is the quote we all heard, we all have heard, ignorance is bliss, or even just letting our thoughts pass like leaves in the wind on a cool autumn day. Why don't we make those thoughts intentional and useful to you? But if you're interested in creative visual meditations, let me know in our Facebook group, which a link will be in the show notes below. So who better to talk to about kindness and serving others than Sarah Pilcher, an aspiring yoga teacher and an essential part of our community. She was diagnosed with MS, or multiple sclerosis, about a decade ago. She's not only been able to thrive since then, after many difficult years, but she's also been able to help others go through similar issues. She's the founder of 365 Yoga Dream and a non-for-profit event called Yogathon. Sarah has a cool background serving as a delegate in President Obama's 2020 election for the National Disability Committee, and we talk about yoga for all, diversity, our changed perspective on social media, yoga's mental as well as its physical benefits, and a lot more. Listen closely and maybe even listen to this episode 2 times to really grasp the wise words that Sarah has shared with us. And if you're like this episode, make sure you have a positive impact on another person in your life by sharing this episode with someone you feel would benefit from also listening. But before we start our interview, I wish we were sponsored by Vivo Barefoot. I'm a super fan of Vivo Barefoot, as you all know, and I think they're doing an amazing job supporting the yoga and movement community by coming up with stylish shoes that have zero to heel to toe drop and a wide toe box that make you feel like you're walking barefoot. Their soles are so thin and flexible you could literally roll them in a ball, but durable enough to protect your feet from puncture. They are way more comfortable than those toe shoes, and you can actually wear them to work, the gym, and hiking without getting weird looks. They even have a kids line, and every time I go to the yoga studio, I always get people asking me about them. So I have their all-white Geocourt men's tennis shoe, which are my go-to everything shoe, and also a pair of their black Primus Light men's shoe is more of my active everyday shoe. They are really the only shoes I wear and the only shoes I recommend. So check them out at vivobarefoot.com. And you don't have to, but of course, if you used affiliate link in the show notes below, it would be greatly appreciated as all the proceeds go directly back into supporting the show. Also, feel free to use my discount code AustinBitsis for $30 off when you spend more than $130 at checkout. Thank you so much for all who have used the affiliate links, and it means the world to me, and I'll make sure to pay it back tenfold. So without further ado, enjoy this episode with Sarah Pilcher. Sarah, thanks so much for taking the time out of your day to join us on the show. And for all who don't know Sarah Pilcher, she is the founder of the non-for-profit Yogathon Arkansas events, which are a weekend event in which studios, instructors open their doors to a community and offer free classes to anyone who has the desire to learn more about the practice of yoga. All proceeds are given to a particular charity of choice. And I mean, I know you do so much more, and we're going to dive into it. So
the model that we like when we used to, we've changed it to having it on one day on a Sunday is a lot easier. And plus it got people to come out and meet other yoga teachers from different studios, and just not all the yoga teachers worked in studios. Some of them just had a Zoom yoga class or a YouTube. So when we have Yogathon, we have all these yoga teachers come together for charity, and they get to meet different students and show their style. And the money goes to a local charity here in our state.
Awesome. And I know you're looking to expand that hopefully to maybe not just Arkansas.
Yeah, we want to expand our blueprint to other places. Right now, we're in the capital city in Little Rock. We are looking to do Northwest Arkansas in 2021. The one in this year will be September 20th, 2020. And great thing is outdoors, so people have a lot of room and social distance. So it'll work out great. We're excited to move around. We've done it in Benton, Arkansas, and we have done Maumelle, Arkansas. So we've branched out throughout the state, but we hope to branch out even further.
Cool. And we could definitely let the listeners know how to take part in that, especially at the end of this conversation. We'll make sure to let them all know. And then I wanted to start off this episode a little differently. So usually I start off like kind of how you got started in yoga, and that leads us down the path of purpose and any particular specialties. But today I wanted to really start off into what really makes you, Sarah, happy, what makes you smile, what makes you feel the joy of being uniquely human. I always like to refer to this analogy of the bliss you feel as a child and that you crave as an adult. So I always like to kind of go back to that childhood bliss But what really makes you happy?
What really makes me happy is really the simple things, which kind of goes back to what you were saying about childhood. Um, Going for walks and just feeling the breeze on my face. You know, a surprise when after a rainy day there's a rainbow, and you don't see rainbows all the time, but those little things make me happy. My husband actually got me a baby Yoda today, and because I love Star Wars, and just that little stuffed baby Yoda made me happy. I think it's just the simple things that we all find joy in, laughter in. That's what really makes me happy. It's not the materialistic, lavish things, but it's just the simple taking a walk with a friend or a family member and laughing and enjoying nature and just enjoying life. That's what
Mhm.
makes me happy.
Yeah, and that's the message of the Secret Yogi is just to make life beautiful, but there's beauty all around us and make
Hmm.
like what other people might see as seemingly ordinary is really extraordinary. And it's just like
Yes.
recognizing that there is beauty all around us. From this little reflection we just did, would be your best tip for making the world a better place and a more beautiful place?
One way to make the world a better place is acceptance, true acceptance of yourself and others without judgment. There's so much judgment in the world, and with that judgment comes a lot of misunderstanding. And I think if people really took the time to learn who they are and truly are and accept that, then they can open their hearts and their minds to be accepting of other people, whether it's a race, sexuality, or whatever. Just accept people for who they are and accept yourself and just live the life that makes you truly happy and feel like you're really growing as a person
Mm.
and not being stagnant.
I definitely resonate with that. And in general, like a secret yogi can be defined as someone who embodies the qualities of a yogi beyond the time they spend on their mats. What does a secret yogi, when you hear that term, mean to you? More specifically, what qualities do you associate with somebody embodying a secret yogi?
I think a person that embodies a secret yogi knows really the secret that we're all trying to pursue of the pursuit of happiness and peace and understanding clarity. I'm a big proponent of having clarity of who you are and the world around you and how you affect the world around you. I think a secret yogi understands that and understands what they're here for. So, you know, what is their dharma? What is that? And what is your purpose here? And how are you using that purpose to help the world around you? And the world around you doesn't necessarily mean the whole planet Earth, but just right in your neighborhood or right in your studio or right at your job. How are you being a positive influence and influencing people to find their path and find their true happiness?
Yeah, that's a really great perspective. Just the simplicity of kind of not that overwhelm. It's just like things right in front of you, the things that you can impact, make the greatest impact and have the greatest difference. And then
Hmm.
your actions are contagious where it affects the next person. And before you know it, it does have a big impact.
Hmm.
Just kind of jumping into your story, you shared your story with me in which you were diagnosed with MS. And for everyone who doesn't know that, that's multiple sclerosis about a decade ago as of this July. And you went through very tough times, as you told me, especially coming from a background as a collegiate runner like myself. And this meant must have been very difficult for you to deal with. Can you share your story to everyone listening right now, being diagnosed with MS and your experience as a yoga teacher?
I always tell everybody I've been doing yoga my whole life because my mom did prenatal yoga and I always had yoga in my life, but much like everybody else, I mean, if you're doing yoga at 4 or 5 years old, you're very agile and things come easy to you when you're doing these different postures. And then you get older and things get a little bit more challenging. It really becomes challenging when you get diagnosed with multiple sclerosis and you wake up and you can't walk. I couldn't walk, I couldn't see well, and I wasn't able to taste really well. I was in a hospital about 4 weeks. It took me a year to be able to walk 5 or 6 feet without feeling like I've done a half marathon. It was really a really challenging time for me. And that's where I found in my yoga practice that it's not just about the physical or the asana practice. It's about the mental and emotional, and what does my yoga practice do for me as a whole. During that time, I focused more on my meditation practice and my mental practice with that. Because there were times where I was in dark places because I was angry, I couldn't walk. And here I had just ran 6 miles, and then now I can't even run a block. So that's real challenge. And then I had to start even my own yoga practice. It was like starting all over again, being able to just do a forward fold using a walker. But with that, I started to focus not just on myself, but on other people who had multiple sclerosis and had autoimmune diseases like I had, or had lost their ability to walk or see or be able to speak well, and said, how can my yoga practice not only just help me, but how can I help others learn from this practice that has been in my life this whole time, but I didn't even see the full beauty of it, of how it can help me. That's when I started helping people, teaching people who have multiple sclerosis like myself, people who have ALS, people with all types of disabilities, because yoga is not just for the healthy body. The yoga practice is for all bodies, so all bodies can be healthy, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. That was the awakening that I really had 10 years ago, getting diagnosed with multiple sclerosis.
And I couldn't imagine how that feels, being myself, somebody so active, and then you don't really know how that feels. Like, you don't really know how you're going to deal with that and how you've prepared mentally for something like that until it
and you don't get to be prepared for it because you didn't know it was going to happen. It's like,
you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, literally I did my first MRI and CT scan that I ever had in my life, and I had a spinal tap, and that all happened in 1 week in first being in the hospital. And the second night I was in the hospital is when I woke up and I couldn't walk. My parents had to run out and go get the doctors and say, what's happening? That's when they're like, she has multiple sclerosis. This is the lesions we were seeing from the MRI. It's the craziest disease to me because every day is different. Every day your body feels different. I mean, I'm still a yoga teacher. I still do a yoga practice every day. I play tennis, but every day is different. And you have to get a really strong mind to deal with that. And not knowing if maybe I could wake up tomorrow and not be able to walk as well as I did the day before. So it's a challenge, but it's a challenge that you can overcome and find strength in through yoga, through your meditation practice. So you have a better positive outlook that every day is going to be different, but that doesn't mean that it should deteriorate you from living the life that you want to live.
Yeah, definitely. And were mentioning before, and now it's been about a decade, and you had a chance to talk or do many talks and counseling with those who suffered from autoimmune diseases such as MS and chronic pain, as well as you've helped others with disabilities through incorporating yoga. You even worked as a delegate for the Obama and other politicians. So for Obama's election for 2020 and other politicians on the National Disability Committee. However, yoga has been marketed over the years as this practice simply as the practice of the asana portion of yoga. It's like stretching in a hot room, right?
Yeah.
And this is a false belief that we really have to break. And it is one of the chief messages of the Secret Yogi Society that yoga is much more than what is done on our mat in the asana. And yoga is the practice of the mind. So you even mentioned a story about a particular child you taught that could only move his eyes due to a certain disability. How can we all benefit from yoga's universality, especially those with an autoimmune disease or disability?
Well, it's like when I've worked with patients that the only thing they're able to move is their eyes to communicate. That is not going to turn into a asana practice in the sense of he has a physical therapist who stretches him out and an occupational therapist who are doing those things. My job is to give him the mental and emotional practice that yoga teaches us. I agree with you that it has, here in the Western world, we have turned yoga, and it's marketing. It's been a positive thing because you've gotten more people involved with yoga, but then the negative aspect is it's taking away truly the real practice of it and where it actually comes from, because it scares me when I meet new yoga teachers and they're like, oh, yoga, yeah, we started here in America. And I'm like, no, no, this has been around for a long time, like before we were thought about, all of us in this room. And there's this country called India, and that's where it started. And I really hone in and telling people to go travel there. My husband and I have both went, and he takes people, him and his teacher take people to India all the time. So they take yogis there to learn about yoga and where it comes from, and understanding the tree of yoga. It's many branches of it, but understanding where does it come from, you're grounding the foundation of it, and not have this commercialized view of what yoga is. It's not just about you looking good in a bikini, because the person who is unable to walk or talk or only communicate through their eyes is not thinking about how good they look in a bikini. They're looking for a peace, and they're looking for peace of mind. And that's what you're supposed to be giving your students or your clients. That's what it's about, you know?
Yeah, no, definitely. And that's kind of the message that I would like to pass on to others through the practice of yoga. And as someone who is very attracted to the physical benefits of yoga and the asana, I know it's so much more, and it's got me through the door, but it's been franchised as this thing that it is just stretching in a hot room.
And everyone can't be in a hot room.
Exactly.
I mean,
yeah.
I love hot yoga. Like everybody, I think it's fun, but everyone can't be in there. You have to. My biggest concern that I always have with when they do teacher training is making sure they give the health side of it, and I mean the scientific side of it. Who's in your class doing hot yoga? Someone like me who has multiple sclerosis doesn't need to be in a hot yoga class in the middle of July and August. Heat causes my MS to flare. So knowing that about your student, does your student have high blood pressure? That is a concern to have to be in hot yoga class, and not just limiting yourself to just hot yoga or hatha yoga. There's different branches of yoga, and find what fits for you, but also understand that the yoga practice is more than just a physical practice. What's the point of looking good on the outside, but inside you got a storm going on? So let's get this. I'd rather you look unhealthy on the outside and have rainbows in the inside. That's the thing. And I think we have to understand the correlation of looking good on the outside. That's beautiful and that's great. But I want your heart to be beautiful and great. I want your mind to be beautiful and great. And you should want that too. And that's what you should be pulling from your yoga practice.
Yeah, it's working from the inside out. And it's the long-term approach. It's the hard approach, and it's not the easy thing to do, but
no, it's not.
It's the thing that's going to make the biggest difference, and going to make the biggest difference, not only for yourself, but those around you. And has there been a particular student that has impacted your practice or touched your heart in a certain way, or even a particular result from a particular program that just something unexpected happened?
I think working with children has been very eye-opening. I call them little wise ones because they are like, you've been here. I mean, some of these kids, you're like, you've been here a few times, huh? Welcome back. Because children, I've worked with children that they're adopted, or they are been rejected, molested, damaged in some type of way from the world, and they still have an open heart. Those are the ones that touch me the most. And I see the benefit of yoga for them, because we're showing them a place that they can go within themselves and find peace. I always tell my children and adults, there's courage in tears. There's nothing wrong with crying. Sometimes you have to cry out the pain to feel the healness, especially when, we're doing postures where you're opening up your hips and opening up some emotion. The same thing happens with children. And I love working with those beautiful little beings, because their hearts are open no matter what challenges they have gone through in their short time on this earth. They're willing to be open to learn, where can I find peace within myself? Where can I find peace and beauty in the world? And those, even now, makes me want to cry because I think of the different kids that I've worked with and the different struggles they've had, and they are still doing yoga practice, and they'll message me. And a few of the scary thing, they grow up so fast, some of them are going into junior high and they've messaged me. They're like, I'm still doing my yoga practice. And it's helped me so much. And especially when they're going through the teen years and the awkward times, they're like, it's really helped me be like, I'm okay. I'm fine. It's like you said, I'm beautiful. I'm like a stem. I just haven't got all my petals yet. And I'm like, that's right. It's like, it sticks with you. So I think it's the kids because you see the growth and you see them use it throughout their life. Even if their life didn't start off with roses and it was a lot of weeds, you see them getting through it and just finding the beauty and how the yoga practice can help them keep peace of mind. I love the kids. I do. I love it because you see the growth and they're open.
Yeah. I call them little like bliss children.
Yeah.
Like you're a bliss child. I mean, adults can do that too, but they're just so pure in their thoughts and their actions.
They're more forgiving. Because even though some kids have been through things that most adults haven't gone through, they're more forgiving and open to trying to find a different path if they are given that. Not that adults are not, but I think sometimes we can be a little bit more rigid and more like guarded because we're adults and we've seen so much. So yeah, I love the kids.
Yeah, and we have a lot of scarring, I guess, physically and mentally that we have to kind of reverse before we could kind of continue on. And that's why it's so important that we share this awareness and mindfulness practices of yoga and meditation with the youth, with the children that are in our lives, because they can grow. I know just with my niece and my nephew, and I'm sharing a thing about the Secret Yogi, and I bring it back to them almost like a game, almost like the superpower. And that's kind of where I came up with the idea. It's like I have them say like self-identify with this superhero, the secret yogi that they have within. And it's just this breathing and meditation and calming their thoughts and just having them say like, that's almost like their mantra, like I'm a secret yogi type of thing. And they have fun with it, that they enjoy it and their thoughts are pure. And continuing on this topic of yoga for all and its universality, you mentioned bringing in diversity into yoga. And I think diversity is such an important because love is the only reality of this world. And because it is, we're all one. We're all one in this world. And sharing these messages and stories of what yoga truly is a way to unteach the ingrained stigma of what most people believe that yoga is, what we were talking about before. What part has diversity played in the role of your practice over the years as a yoga teacher?
It's played a big role. I mean, as a African American woman, yoga teacher, yogi. I mean, my first yoga class I went to as a child with my mom. My mother and I were the only African Americans in that class. Later on in life, did I start to see more, and it made me happy. But as a teen, I was teaching my African American friends yoga because I wanted them to come into the practice too. I think now with social media, which is the beauty of it, like they have Black Girl Yoga, and I love that group. I'm a part of that. And you get to see different Black girls and women who are yoga teachers who are focused on meditation. And it's beautiful. And you, like Nicole, she's here with me in Arkansas. She's got her own studio. And so you're seeing these Black women open up yoga businesses. There's beauty in it. You want the diversity because diversity is good. We're all, like you said, we're all one. And you learn so much from different people. Would it be boring if everybody you're around were the same? It would be so boring. It's just like yoga. There's different branches. It would be boring if it was just one branch of yoga. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with people. You want to have diversity in that. And I think that's what it's all about. I mean, yoga in itself is diverse. It is diverse, and there's different practice, different mantras, just different paths that people take with their yoga practice and what they believe it should be. So why not have that with people? And why not show that with people? I applaud different yoga platforms and magazines that are really trying to show diversity. And I think we're in that day and age where everybody's like, okay, can we see something different now? And that's why it's happening more, which I think is beautiful.
Hmm. Yeah. And showing by example and just knowing really anything is possible and letting people know that and letting people know that there is this universality that we always talking about within yoga and that it's there, but sometimes it has to, the people around you kind of have to break the ice a little bit.
Yes, they do. I mean, my husband is Caucasian, and it's funny because we teach couples yoga, and sometimes when they promote it, they don't promote with a picture of us. So then I get there and we're setting up, and they're like, "Oh, are you one of his assistants?" I'm like, "No, I'm his wife, and I'm the one teaching with him." you know, but you have to break that barrier of understand. People should you have to the trajectory of how people are thinking in their framework. Just because they see Pilcher, you're assuming that both of them are white. And I tell people it's not always good to make assumptions, or any time really to make assumptions, because you never know what you're going to get.
Hmm.
So when she unwrapped that yoga bag, she was like, "Oh, it's you."
And is this one of the reasons you've really been working tirelessly and getting involved in the community and pushing your teachings and volunteering at so many different events?
Yes, because I'm a big proponent of people having diversity, having change, and seeing different views. And I want when I see other little Black girls in the world, I want them to know that you can be anything. You can be a yoga teacher, you can be president, you can be a doctor, you can be a lawyer, you can be a nurse, but you need to see it. That's the thing, is seeing all the different things that we as Black women are capable of. We are capable of so many different things. We've done so many different things, and not being limited and put in a box. Break out of that box and be what you want to be and be who you are, and find beauty in having that beautiful brown skin. There's nothing wrong with it. We're just as beautiful as everybody else in the world. We're just as smart as everybody else. We're all one. But the world has to eventually view everybody as one. We
Yeah.
all bleed the same. It's all
Yeah.
red.
And I always like the saying, like, nothing is ever born, nothing ever dies. Everything only changes. Like, we're all
Hmm.
one. We're all part of this universe. And you must be really proud of your mom, kind of like getting back to your story of getting into yoga. She's the one that really spearheaded before you even
Yeah, my
born.
mother, my brother, he had ADHD, so he's really hyper. And so she started with him and helping him, because my brother's about 6 years older than me.
Mhm.
And then I had these awesome teachers, Matt and Holly, that were her teachers. They literally known me since I was in my mom. And they were her teachers. And when I got old enough to go to the studio, she was bringing me to them. And my mother just was a big proponent of having mental health and having a balance. She said everyone needs to try to find their balance. You're going to get off balance all the time sometimes, and it's just whether you stay off balance or do just find that. My parents were just really big on making sure my brother and I had a balance in life, understanding how the world around us work and how we can help the world around us and be there for other people.
Yeah, that's just really awesome that you had such great mentors, both in your family and then also the teachers that almost bridged the gap of generations.
Yeah, it really was, because it's even talking to them now. My mom talks about how yoga has changed. She said because when she goes to my husband's studio, she sees different age group, different colors, different everything. And she talks about, you remember when we used to go, it used to just be the two of us, and now it's everyone. And and it brings her so much joy, because that's what you want to see, because
Mhm.
that's what the world is. The world is filled with everything and everyone, and that's what you want to see, and that's what the yoga community should want and embrace.
Yeah. And it's also like reading some of the yoga texts, like the traditional yoga texts, he's
Mhm.
saying that it's like yoga has no boundaries. It's really whatever is, or whatever the teacher feels is most beneficial to their students. And it's almost like an experiment. And it could go in any directions and it's always evolving. And the direction that it evolved today, I mean, some of it might have evolved for the better, some of it might evolve for the worse, like kind of that stigma around what yoga is. But in general, adding that diversity in, adding that universality and the different styles to help different people, letting people know that it's for everybody and it's not just a physical asana poses, it's also the mental side of things is a huge portion, and it's the majority portion of yoga is so important. And for somebody who, because you had such strong mentors that definitely guided the directions of your life and you as a yoga teacher in such a positive way, how would you recommend somebody who's starting out, young or old, just somebody starting out that's looking for a mentor or looking for somebody that they could kind of help guide them through their journey?
I believe it's just a mentor of life. You want to find wisdom is important. You want to find a yoga teacher that practice what they're teaching, which can be tough. That's the tough part about being a teacher, is that you have to live what you're teaching. So you want to find a mentor that is truly living the yoga practice, someone that you feel like is going to help you grow, not just physically, but mentally challenge you to grow, emotionally challenge you to grow, and emotionally challenge you to grow the most, because looking within yourself, finding your scars, healing those things within yourself, where you can grow, where you can become another teacher, another part of the branch. That's what you want to look for in a teacher. Someone with, I think wisdom is very important. I'd rather have a wise teacher than a teacher that can do the splits 3 ways and has the knowledge to teach you not just their. So if they are a hatha yoga teacher, but has a knowledge base to teach you other forms of yoga and understand, has an open mind and not just stuck like this is the only way. It's not the only way. It might not be that way for you.
Yeah, someone that's wise, someone that's willing to challenge you. And also, I think what's important is being aware as the student. Like for
Mm-hmm.
myself, knowing what I need, I might need somebody who works with more positive reinforcement, because that's maybe something that I'm lacking, is the confidence. Where somebody
Mm-hmm.
has too much confidence and needs someone to kind of bring them down a little bit, right? And
Get that ego.
yeah, and I think that's knowing you as a student helps you find the teacher that will be the best fit. Not every teacher can help every student, and not every student is the perfect student for that teacher.
And you can have, and I think people don't limit yourself. You can have more than one teacher. You know, Sherry Youngblood is one of my teachers. She's where I got my 200-hour from. It's not, you don't have to be limited to one teacher, and you might have 3 great mentors, but if one of them's going to be more, I think one, I mean, I feel like my mom and Holly, because they know me, my mother, of course, and Holly, because she's known me, are my strongest mentors. They challenge me to be better than what I was an hour ago or yesterday. And
Mhm.
so that makes a great teacher.
I think too that it's teachers can be comes in all forms, right?
Mhm.
Like just right now in short form, just listening to us speak, something might resonate. And although we might be a student in one aspect, but we're in this aspect, we might be the teacher. If to
Mhm.
somebody that resonates, if somebody makes a positive impact based on the words we are speaking or the way they maybe have framed something. So there's teachers all around us.
As teachers are, and always like as a teacher, always be a student, always be
Mhm.
learning. Cause I mean, when I'm like, I'm a yoga teacher, I'm like, yeah, but I'm still a student. I'm still learning all the time. I even learn from the kids when I'm doing yoga with them. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's a good philosophy. How old are you? 5? You're gonna be fine. So a teacher to me also realizes that they're always a student as well.
And are there any positions or opinions in the last few years that have changed or shifted substantially?
My position on, I think, the social media, a lot of the yoga pictures, because I do it. I mean, I put yoga pictures up too. My mindset about it has changed over the years, because I've seen now a lot of people are not just putting pictures up, but they're putting mantras with them. There's a purpose to the picture. That's what I'm seeing is now the yoga pictures have a purpose. So my mindset has changed where if I'm going to put a yoga picture of myself doing a practice, there's a purpose to it. It's not just putting it up there just so you can see my leg do something cool. It's actually a purpose behind it.
Hmm. Yeah, actually, it's funny you say that. I feel like that's a shift in my mindset that has also kind of happened over the last few years. I was so against social media. Like growing up, I was like, I'm never going to have a Facebook. I'm never going to have an Instagram. And it kind of like trickles in, you know what? All my friends have it. I just want to keep in contact with them as we kind of go different directions. And my shift has really shifted and looking at the positives of it, like bringing in so many diverse people and finding those you resonate with and having so many teachers around you. Yes, social media can be this bad kind of ego, very vanity driven thing, like anything in life, right? But there
Yes.
is such purity in it. And if you really find it, it's like I never would have thought that I would be putting something out like this, like a podcast, out to the world, right? I was so against it. And that was even just a few years ago. And then just seeing the value in it in the way that kind of looking past all critics and looking past all that vanity and looking towards the purity of it and how many people it's helped, it's mind blowing. And just kind of staying laser focused on helping and serving others has really began to open my eyes up to what social media could be and the value behind it. So that's funny
Yeah,
that
you
you had
can,
the same.
yeah. Yeah, that's how, and then you get to see like yoga teachers like when they have their babies and they're doing yoga with their babies. I mean,
Yeah.
there's beauty in that. That the practice is being carried on to the next generation. So I think you just have to, like you said, find the positive parts about it. And those who are using it for their ego, if they stay with their yoga practice, they'll learn. That's their journey, and they will learn and they will see.
Mhm.
I have to believe in that. I think eventually you'll see there's more to it than just putting a great flexible picture up there that you can do it with a positive purpose.
Yeah, kind of sending kindness and happiness to even people that your first thought may be, oh, it's something ego or vanity. It's like, you know what? Maybe they're just misunderstood. Maybe they just don't
Mhm.
realize what they're doing and not aware of it, that how it's getting perceived by other people.
Yeah,
And maybe their intentions are good, and maybe
yeah,
they just don't know
exactly.
how to. Like when I got started in social media, I'd put up one random photo, the next random photo, and it's like I really didn't know what I was doing. And it could have been perceived as something negative to others, but I mean, it was with honest intentions.
Hmm.
And I think just going toward and like sending that energy of kindness and acceptance and just
Be
being people's biggest
open.
fans. Yeah.
Because sometimes it's like a posture people have been working on for a long
Yeah.
time. They finally got it, and they're like, "And hello, look," and it's like
Yeah. Proud of it.
I'm happy for them too because I'm like, listen, that's tough. Like you are yes, post it over and over again because we need to the video. We need to see this because I'm still trying to learn how to do it too. So it's I think it's you have to look at it from you don't understand where their journey. That's why like it's their journey, and if they're coming from a excited, pure place, you know and you feel it. If they're coming from an ego place, people know after a while, and eventually they'll figure it out that maybe I should just show what is this about
Yeah.
truly. What is it about?
Yeah. And being vulnerable too. It's just, yes, showing people's journey. I think that's what really made that shift in my mind was just watching people over a few years and it might be a business, they might be not just a yoga teacher, but I follow also a lot of other brands and businesses, and seeing where they started to what they became and how much hard
Hmm.
work went into that. I'm cheering them along the whole way, right? It's just like this, like, yeah, a few years from now, it's like I would hope that putting all that energy in one direction authentically and with pure intentions, that it would have a compounding effect. Going back to your story, you have been an athlete growing up, as we mentioned, and you were also, well, you were a collegiate track and field hurdler as well as a USTA state champion in tennis,
Hmm.
while now you're serving as a member of the USTA Southern Tennis Committee and the USTA Arkansas Junior State Tournament. So
Hmm.
tennis has played a big role in your life and also athletics. So, what part of yoga has been a driving catalyst in your tennis practice and the tennis practice of those you teach?
I say with my tennis practice, it would be your breath. Your breath, how your breath and your mental game. Um, I believe that has truly helped my mental game. So instead of like if I lose a match, not staying in a negative space about it, or if I lost a set, how do I come back? And how do I come back stronger? That has really helped me. People, we had a yoga for tennis event, and that was the biggest thing I taught them was, okay, I'm gonna teach you these postures that can help you stretch your muscles out before you get on the court. But let's talk about how can you get focused mentally? How can you be in your game and really focus in your game and be in that zone and stay in that zone? That's something that I really push and teach with any athlete that I have as clients or work with. It's staying in that zone and staying focused in that zone. It's almost like a bliss for you because you're there and you're focused and you know what your purpose at this moment is, what you're supposed to be doing, and you're focused. And keeping your breath helps you conserve your energy. So if you have to go to another set, it helps you conserve your energy, or just keep your mind going. Keep your mind going about the next move you want to make. I mean, you can almost use those same things as someone who plays chess, because the mind is a muscle too. And having focus in your mind is really, really something that is challenging for people to have. And once you learn how to do that, you can do pretty much anything you want in life.
Yeah, it's the mindset. What are some tips that you share with your students on kind of mindset and being present?
So first, I try to tell them first, because the mind is going to wonder. That's just part. The mind is going to think. This whole thing, like your mind, just nothingness. Your mind is going to think. It's going to wonder. It's going to do things. But can you control those thoughts? One of the tips I say to them, I actually put it on my Instagram with some clouds passing by. And I'm like, let your thoughts be like clouds passing by. Just let them pass. Don't hold on to them. Let them pass and stay present in the present moment where you are at this time. And so if you are on a tennis court at that time, that's the moment you're supposed to be at. And that's where you're supposed to be present at, not at the grocery store or at the bar or shopping online. And you're like, oh, I didn't get those Nike shoes that I was looking at 2 hours. That's not where you're supposed to be. You're going to get hit in the face with the ball. So where's your mind? And where's your breath? Where is it? And don't hold on to those thoughts. Let it go. If you miss that shot, how do you refocus and say, I'm not going to miss this next shot? That's letting those, especially negative thoughts, are what human nature, we hold on. We will hold a negative thought, just hold it tight. Learning to release those thoughts and let it pass. Because if you don't, that cloud can become a storm in your head, and then you're going to lose.
Yeah, it gives a huge competitive advantage in so many different sports.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, tennis, running, as we both know.
Yeah.
The mental side of things is huge, right? To be able to stay cool, calm, and collective. And also on the physical side of things, and I know we said yoga is not all about the asana and the physical practice, but it had such an impact on me as a runner and after my collegiate career, having such severe chronic injuries, healing my body. And also growing up, I had so many different injuries from surfing to basketball to swimming. And I wish I knew how to practice yoga. I wish somebody shared yoga with me when I was younger, because it would have not had me had so many different injuries. And that also affects your mental side of things too, because now you're afraid that you might get injured again. So how can we all, especially the youth involved in very demanding athletics, benefit from yoga on the physical side?
Flexibility, because for like running, your lateral, moving your body in different motions. Your body is not just longitude, latitude. It moves in different, it's circle. Your hip socket is a ball. It moves circular. The physical aspects of making you flexible and your mobility easier. It helped me be able to walk better. I'm holding a walker and I'm crunched over. So obviously not in alignment at all. I'm just like, ugh. So standing up straight, getting that strength that I needed in my core, getting that core strength that I needed, what I needed in my hip flexors to help me start having the mobility to walk. That's what helps athletes also gain strength. It's the same thing that somebody coming back from an injury or having a disability is the same thing for the everyday athlete or the professional athlete, their core, their hip flexors, their hamstring, stretching those, having the flexibility in those, and also having strength. You want to have muscle, but you want to have flexibility too. But combining those two, I think that's the beauty in yoga is yoga doesn't just hammer on you having muscles, but also gives you that flexibility. There's a balance. It's a balance. It's a balance of range of motion. You're not limited to one range of motion, which some sports kind of limit you on the one range of motion that you're doing. But it opens you up to all the range of motion that your body is able to do and is capable to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It helped me immensely getting started in a yoga practice. Like I said, I got started in the physical practice and kind of opened my eyes up to the mental practice with such a severe hip flexor injury. I went to so many different specialists and exercise physiologists and chiropractors, and they were great. It was a temporary fix, but within a few days I moved the wrong way, and next thing you know, I'd be hurting for the next week. And it wasn't until
Mm-hmm.
I consistently started practicing yoga that it really helped me. And I think what you're also saying is that it also doesn't just go towards the youth. It also just doesn't go towards athletes, but it also goes for, I mean, desk jockeys, like people that are anybody, right? If whatever
Right.
you do, I mean, you have certain things that physically are repetitive motions, and yoga is such a great way to open up the body and heal the body and give that flexibility, that mobility, and that range of motion to be able to move correctly to your true form.
Yes, exactly. And I agree exactly. I mean, really just using all those range of motions to really open up your body to being more than what you're using it for. There's
Mhm.
so much that we don't do with our body that we could do if we knew. And that's where yoga, that's where people, they're in there and they call it the yoga addiction, but it's really is you are learning that your body is so much more and you're so much more connected to your body, that your emotions, a lot of people hold a lot of their emotions in their hips and in their shoulders and their necks. And then when they learn how to open up those parts of their body, that teaches them to let go of certain negative emotions that they're holding on to and
Mhm.
release that. And within that, that muscle pain they're having gets released as well.
Yeah. And that tension, that scar tissue, that all took years to acquire, and it's going to take time to, and it's not an instant fix. It's not just like overnight fix, right? It's not just like this magic pill. It takes time and dedication. I mean, it's consistency. Yeah.
It's consistent, and that's once you have that practice in your life, I think it teaches you discipline. It teaches you consistency. When you're talking about the youth, when you bring in a yoga practice and telling them to practice that, it teaches them discipline. It teaches them to have consistency and awareness of their bodies and themselves. I
Mhm.
think teaching at a young age and knowing that can be a very beneficial thing for them.
Yeah. And are there any other non-negotiables, such as like sleep, your meditation practice, any type of creative work, anything that you could think of that others could benefit from, that are, say, your non-negotiables, being that make you be able to live a healthy life,
I
especially
think,
with MS? I mean, I'm sure there's a bunch
yeah.
of things like diet.
I'm vegetarian. I choose that's the life. I've been vegetarian for a long time. My dad was vegetarian, so it's been in my life for a long time. Even if you're not vegetarian, I tell people your diet is very important. What you put in your body is what your body's using for energy. You can't live off a beer. It's just you can't live off a beer. It's great. You can't
People
live
have
off a beer.
tried.
Yeah, you can try, but it's gonna come. and a lot of things will come back to you and you're not going to like it because it's going to hurt. There's nothing wrong with cake. I have a sweet tooth, pies, all that stuff, but have a balance in your diet. Have a true balance in your diet. My meat eaters are always like, they'll send me pictures. I got a burger. I'm like, did you put lettuce and tomatoes on it? Like, yes. I said, thank you. You got your veggies in for today. Like, there's a balance to it. You have to find a balance in what you're putting into your body. You know, we need water. Drink water. It's different. You should have more water than you have wine. Just facts of life.
Some people will contest that.
I know. I mean, if you had that bad of a day, I'll let it slide. But every day should not be more wine than water. You should have more water in your body.
No, exactly. Balance.
Yeah. Have a balance.
Yeah. If you have that extra piece of cake or something, you know what, make sure you did something physical that day. Mm-hmm. Make sure you ate healthy the rest of the meals.
And if you know, it's like I used to tell my friends, because they're like, what do I do? I'm like, if you know you're going to a dinner party that evening and you know you're going to eat some greasy food and you're going to have wine, you have 3 meals in a day. Breakfast and lunch can be healthy, and that way at dinner, and that doesn't mean dinner go crazy, but then you won't feel as bad because you had 2 meals that were healthy. Make sure your snacks in the day were healthy as well. Have a balance with it.
Yeah, definitely. We could do a whole nother episode on diet, but just knowing, I mean, in terms of calories too, it's just like, you know what, if you know you're going to eat some extra calories by going out that night, you know, that's something that you take away a little bit during the day, or you add some physical, and it's kind of this balance. And also know your goals, right? If you're at the top of the mountain, as I like to refer everything in like analogies, but like I always refer to like whatever our goal, whatever our ambitions are, is kind of like this mountain, and the top is kind of like achieving those ambitions. And when you're already at the top, you already achieve those ambitions because you work so hard to get there. You could take 1 step back and 1 step forward, or 2 steps back and 2 steps back up, and you're still at the top of there. You still have achieved and at where you would like to be. But if you're not at where you would like to be, let's say you're at the bottom of this mountain, you take 2 steps back and 2 steps forward, well, you're still there. So it's just kind of knowing where to put your energy and how much energy to put into it. And everything's balanced. Like, it's just life, right?
Yeah, it's just life. It's just life. You just got to find your balance. And it is like a pendulum. It's always up and down what's going to happen. So you just have to go with the flow, find your balance, and not be so hard on yourself. We're all trying to figure it out. We're all trying to find our balance. Even your yoga teachers are trying to do their balance every day too. Yeah. It's just, we're all human, and we're just taking it one day at a time.
Yeah, no, exactly. And really, after speaking with me thus far about your life as this secret yogi, utilizing your inner superpowers by embodying yourself as a secret yogi in order to take a seemingly ordinary world and make it extraordinary, what would you say your dharma is? And how would you describe that whom you were called to serve?
I think my dharma is to help those that are underserved, which would be the disability community. I say that because the path has led me that way. I think it's important that you serve the least of these. The least of these are those who need you the most, and to use your gifts and the talents that you have to help them, whether it's helping them get food, helping them find mental well-being, emotional well-being, a healthy diet, a beautiful physical practice. That's what I believe, because it is a hard world out here. And it's really hard, especially when you're looked down upon in the world, which a lot of people are when they're disabled. Everybody looks like you're weak, and not looking at the strength that person has within them. That can be really glorious if you touch it and really open it up to the world. And they're able to take their dharma and touch other people through their challenges, through their disability. And I think that even for everybody, not necessarily people who have physical disabilities, but just in general. And I think my dharma is just to help people awaken that and see that within themselves and go and be like little leaves and grow a tree and have more branches all over and keep growing and keep going. I've always felt like I'm a teacher, and not necessarily just a yoga teacher, but just teaching in life. I feel like I was probably a little old lady's inside of me. My mom used to laugh when I was a little girl. She's like, you just be like, you're like a little old woman, like you've been here before. And I know that my journey here is to teach through yoga, through educating people about how to find oneness with themselves and oneness with the world that we live in, and finding that balance. I'm just finding that balance.
And for those who are looking for their purpose, what recommendations would you have? You said it kind of found you. Would you have any recommendations for somebody who's not sure what their purpose is yet?
First, be open. And when I say be open, slow down. Slow down and sit with yourself. Your purpose is within you already. You just might not know what it is yet. But if you sit with yourself in peace and silence and really listen with what's in there inside you, within, and I know it sounds like almost like Lion King movie type, but it is like a little voice inside of you saying, this is what you're supposed to be doing. And be open to trying different things. Go outside of what you think you're supposed to be doing. So you are a banker, but you love to cook. Go try it. Maybe that's where you're supposed to be. See, sometimes we fight what path we're supposed to be on, and eventually we end up on it anyway. The world's going to shift you there, whether you want to or not. Eventually, it's going to shift you on the path that you're supposed to be on. Don't be afraid of it and don't fear it. Find mentors that are going to help you guide you to the path that you're on. I didn't find it on my own. To say that I found my path on my own is crazy. No one finds their path on their own. There's some other people along your path that are guiding you through the jungle of life, that are guiding you figure out, well, what am I here for again? Because I wake up, but I don't, what am I here for? Like, I gotta be here for something. So what am I here for? Trusting your mentors, and don't be scared of the truth, the pure truth. Not the sugar-coated truth, but the pure truth of who you are as a person. Because once you know who you are as a person, you really can find out what your purpose is on this planet.
Mm-hmm. And we're coming to a close. So what else in entrepreneurship, your practice, and your students' practice are you working on right now to serve the yoga and movement community and just your community as a whole? I know you're doing some of the on-the-mat yoga videos on YouTube.
Yeah, I interview yoga teachers. Like, I have to get you for interview.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm gonna turn this around. I do the on the mat where I ask yoga teachers about their journey and where do they see the future of yoga going. And I love doing the on the mat series because you get to meet some incredible teachers. Like, I've gotten to interview Sean Corn, which I love her. She's my curly hair sister, natural hair, yay. And just where yoga was from when she started to where it's gone now, to going around the world teaching people and learning from her and what she's learned from other yogis and other teachers around the world is a beautiful thing. We have Yogathon that will be in September, and this year we're giving to the Hunger Alliance, and they will be collecting food, which is in dire need, especially at this time with COVID-19. So we're happy to collect food items and finance money to buy more food items to help our underserved population who are really in great need. And then the other projects in life are just being and being happy and teaching my students and just being a source of light to whoever I meet on the street or wherever I go.
And for listeners who want to know more about what you're working on and what you're doing, you have a company that you founded called 365 Yoga Dream. And that's also the website domain. So 365yogadream.com, on Instagram at 365 Yoga Dream, YouTube, it's your name, Sarah Pilcher. So we'll put everything in the show notes. You could find her on the mat yoga videos, which are about like 3 to 7 minutes. They're great. I've watched a bunch of them.
And we do We do videos, like when we talk about diets, we do videos at restaurants, what you can eat that is vegetarian, vegan, or gluten free. So if you want to do that challenge, because people do those 30-day challenge of being vegan or gluten free, or it's just you're changing your diet lifestyle, we give you the steps to help you make that transition so you're not going broke financially, number one. And number two, you're not feeling sick and you go into it healthy and come out deciding if that's the path you want to take.
Cool. Yeah, that's great. And you also, of course, the Yogathon, which we were talking about in the beginning, September 20th, for all those who are in the Arkansas area. Hopefully things will clear up by then. That's going to be the weekend of the event. You guys are doing the fundraiser. How
Yes.
can people get involved in that?
They can go to yogathonarkansas.com, or you can go on my website at 365yogadream.com. You can message me on Instagram or Facebook, and I get back to you really quickly. My COO, Nyla Smith, she will respond back to you quickly too. She's really awesome at that as well.
Cool. And we'll include everything in the show notes and more. Thank you, Sarah, so much for being on the show. I really appreciate you showing up and giving some wisdom on yoga.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for letting me be a secret yogi.
Thank you so much for joining this episode. I hope you loved this conversation. If you're the type of person who has taken action to make life beautiful through the tools of yoga, I'd really appreciate if you headed over to iTunes and left us a raving review to keep this show going. Every review is read by myself, the host, and your feedback will most definitely be taken into account for future episodes. Also, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Have an extraordinary rest of your day, and remember, our actions and thoughts are contagious, so make them good ones.